In this video, we're going to be diving into the Havoc fight and Havoc as a champion. What are some of the best counters to this guy? How do you fight him? How do you deal with the special attacks? And I think we got some very, very quirky gameplay today because I've been testing out and trying so many different options. I've been having a lot of fun this evening, but I think Havoc is one of those champions that might change up Marvel Contest of Champions quite a bit because he has some very quirky and slightly unique characters. There are some top options, some top characters that do kind of counter him, but some of the lesser known ones and lesser used champions are actually more effective at dealing with Havoc than some of the top options, like kind of, you know, stocking on Spider-Man or Magic, or ones that you might assume initially. So yeah, today we're going to break it all down, have a little bit of fun. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's start off by getting into some of Havoc's abilities and the need-to-know information. Now, let's have a bit of a chat about all the need-to-know information when it comes to fighting Havoc. So first off, a couple of very small bits. So he actually reduces the opponent's critical damage rating by 50%, so striking him with a crit is going to deal significantly less damage, but you know, it's not penalized at all, like it is against Mr. Sinister, so that one's alright. And then all attacks, so his medium attacks, heavy attacks, and light combo ending attacks, so just if he ends the combo with a light, are energy damage and do not make contact. So this means fairly similar to like Iron Man Infinity War, like you can't parry him off a medium, but if you're very close to him and he throws a light, you can parry him off a light. And then we have his plasma charge mechanic. So essentially throughout passively over time, and also his abilities, and whenever a critical hit or he receives energy damage, he's going to gain 1 plasma charge. And these charges, man, you're going to see they build up so incredibly quickly. However, if there's a power drain, Havoc is going to lose all of the plasma charges. So power drain characters are just insanely effective here. Like Vision is just the absolute MVP for this. So if you want to go with the strategy, Magic can work a little bit, but Vision, I have found, just in my testing, seems to be one of the most effective. But I think an even more effective option than the power drain is kind of the second way to counter this, because it's, you know, there's nothing really going on while it's on Havoc. It's just as soon as it's full, as soon as he's at 10 stacks, when he would generate a plasma charge beyond his maximum, instead of placing one on him, it actually goes to the opponent and it lasts until it's removed by another ability. So if you don't have a way to deal with this, and deal with the plasma charges, then you're going to get absolutely wrecked. So basically 11 stacks, all plasma buildups are removed and you explode for just an absolutely insane amount of damage. But if you are playing a champion that has an armor up buff, and it seems to be, just from my testing so far, it needs to be like a standard armor up buff. I had a bit of trouble making, you know, Iron Man Infinity War work, but Angela has just been an absolute breeze so far. So champions that can generate armor up buff abilities, you don't need to worry about this mechanic, and it's like the majority of the fight, you know, you don't need to worry about then. So it makes it substantially easier if you have an armor up buff, but really kind of the two things that you're looking for are power control and armor up buff champions. But anyway, let's talk about some of the champions that can, you know, deal with this mechanic and serve us quite well. Now, when it comes to the champions that can counter Havoc really effectively, you need either an armor up or a very fast acting power drain, because the plasma, it kicks in very, very fast, and the damage is just, you know, absolutely insane on Uncollected. So there are some very quirky counters. Now, playing around with a ton of different options tonight, the three that I like the most are actually Angela, Vision, and Vulture. Like Vulture, surprisingly, it's like this fight was built for him. The gameplay is so good, but Angela, she can very quickly access whenever needed just an armor up buff by being in a special 1 stance, so it's very, very easy to get pretty much the immunity up 24/7. When it comes to Vision, you've got very quick power control from the special 1 there, which makes it a very, very straightforward time. Magic, I have used, she can be a little bit tricky at certain points, because yeah, it's a little bit hard to keep the power power on lock because she also power locks, which has this additional effect of increasing his rate of plasma even more. So there's a bit of a detriment to using magic, but she can work. The limbo can, you know, take a detonation, but then instantly heal it up if you time it right. So there's some curious stuff that you can do with magic there. Again, Vulture works so well, stocking on Spider-Man. The only thing you've really got is the emergency power drain, but, you know, there's a ton of damage, man. If you can get in there, deal some damage quickly, like, it's a pretty good time with Stark, and you can prolong the fight by using that emergency power drain. Howard the Duck, surprisingly, a bit of an MVP here because he starts with a load of stacks of armor. Dr. Voodoo, you've got power control. Venom, he's a little bit hit or miss because you can either start with the armor and be fine, or not start with the armor and die quite quickly. So yeah, a bit hit or miss there. You got Silver Warrior, you can use the special wand to get armor there. Red Skull starts with armor and gains armor whenever he goes for a bar of power. So Red Skull is actually super sick for this matchup. We've got Colossus, who I think with the Emma Frost synergy can also gain even more armor up, but Colossus, very importantly, gains armor on hitting. There are a lot of characters like Iron Man, Iron Patriot that need to be hit to gain armor, so you need to, you know, have an ability where you can generate armor without getting hit directly, or you're going to get absolutely ruined. Kang has a base armor. Green Goblin, you've got a power drain from the special wand to reset the stacks. Hawkeye, same deal there. I haven't tested Green Goblin or Hawkeye, so let me know in the comments below if they work, but they should work alright. Scarlet Witch, Lucky Crits power drain. This one again is a little bit sketch. Ultron, you can get 15-second armor up by blocking, so you can bait out some heavy attacks, get an armor immunity there. If you play it really nicely, you know, it might work, man, if you got a stacked Ultron. And then we got Awakened Winter Soldier. So yeah, if you got the Taskmaster synergy, this should work out fairly interestingly. You just need to hope for a lot of good power drain procs there. And I have tried Dormammu, but Dormammu's base damage is energy. And if he receives energy damage, he gains plasma really fast. So that just didn't really work out too well for Dormammu. It worked out okay. We got some hits, but yeah, it wasn't the best in the world. But that is kind of my list of champions so far. Again, Angela, Vision, if you've got one of those two, man, they work really well. Magic, Vulture, Stark, Spidey, and quite a few others of this list you can pull off if you are a skilled player. So anyway, let's talk about Havoc and how to actually fight him once you get into the matchup. Now, as a whole, we're going to have a look at one of my favorite fights and favorite matchups, and this is Angela. She is so incredibly effective. So if you're aware of how Angela works, between no power and 1 bar of power, she's always going to have a passive armor up, but whenever she strikes a crit on the opponent, she's going to get an armor buff as well. So kind of moving outside of that, you can retain armor when you're moving like just beyond your special one, but it's very easy at any point during this fight to kind of dump your power and get back to the armor to make sure that you're immune if any plasma shocks do come on you. So it's really good. I've kind of found through fighting Havoc that the best way to do it is learn how to bait the special 2. We do make kind of a few mistakes here at the start, and this was, you know, definitely during my learning period as well, but the special 1, man, can be very lethal. It's just a little bit more tricky to dodge. It's not really too bad, to be honest, once you get used to it. But the special 1 will also cause him on activation to gain even more plasma. So yeah, it's just another reason why you want to avoid the special 2. Plus it's, you know, two specials in one, 2 bars of power straight gone. So you just need to kind of wait for him to, like, you know, jump up in the air, jump down, he goes back, recoils a little bit, and then blasts forward. But we're going to break down how to fully evade that special attack in just a second, after we've kind of shown this full matchup. But as you can see here, Angela is just such a great solution. It's pretty much removed the plasma charges from the fight. They're doing absolutely nothing. And when they're doing absolutely nothing, you just need to be aware of a very small passive power gain that Havoc has and just dodging the specials. So it just becomes really straightforward. And Angela's regen has been helpful for my scrubness here, man. It's definitely saved my ass a little bit. So that's been a good time. But that's the special 1, man. I quite enjoy evading Havoc specials. They are a ton of fun. But there we go, 5 combo, and Havoc is down with Angela. Just want to show you a quick example of a failed Venom matchup. So because of the armor break node here, we lose our armor on Venom. And you can see the plasma charges going up and up. And as soon as they reach 11, they're going to detonate. So just pay, you know, very close attention to what happens if you're not prepared for this fight. Because the plasma damage, man, it's just so incredibly ridiculous. It's a big burst of like 10,000 or so. So Havoc's got 9, we've got 9. We're really just waiting for kind of the next tick or two, and there we go, it detonates. We take 10k damage. So if you're not prepared, that's what happens. But also Venom, you know, he's not the most reliable, but again, he can work if you do get lucky with those armor stacks. Now, when it comes to the special attacks, let's have a look at the specials in slow motion. This is the special one. So it's kind of 3 waves. You got a dodge, a little gap, dodge, and then there's going to be a fairly big gap between the final one, and it's a dodge. So yeah, it's just kind of a triple dodge there. This one is actually really easy to do. I got it on some of the first tries, but if you have the sound effects on as well, there are just kind of some very nice kind of wave sound effects that come out just to make it really, really straightforward. But yeah, once you get used to the timing of this, the special one is really easy to pull off, but again, it's not really advised. It's much better in a lot of scenarios to push to the special 2, because this is going to basically charge up his plasma charges quite quickly. You can see he goes very quickly up to 9-10, and then it starts to overflow because the special one also has the additional effect of generating 9 plasma charges as well. So basically special 1 is bad, but again, it doesn't really matter if you're playing Angela because you've got the armor anyway. But try and push to the special 2 and kind of bait out those heavy attacks where possible. Now, when it comes to Havoc's Special 2, this one took me a little bit longer to get down. It took me a few attempts, but once you get used to kind of the rhythm of him like kicking, jumping up in the air, slamming down, and then he's going to pull back and kind of Super Saiyan forward, and that's when you've got a dexterity. So I kind of look for him pulling back and then be ready to dash back as soon as I see kind of the movement from his hands going forward. So there we go, dash back, easy game, easy life. So it does take, you know, a bit of practice to get this one. I found it the slightly more difficult out of the 2, but also just as a heads up, if you don't feel comfortable evading, you can like block both of the special attacks with no repercussion. The special one, it starts off unblockable in the first hit, but that's only kind of the melee one, so as long as you're back, you can block all of it as well if you do not feel comfortable evading. So yeah, just, you know, watch it in slow motion a few times. Hopefully you kind of got it in your head about now, and best of luck when it comes to evading Havoc's Special 2. Now, just to end this video, I want to show a couple of clips, very brief clips from some of my favorite matchups. Howard the Duck, again, works really, really well for this one because he starts with 6 stacks of armor up. So providing you can play aggressively and you don't get hit by the armor purge node, you're going to have a bit of an interesting time playing a little bit of Howard the Duck there. You can see we actually got hit once by the armor purge node and it only took 1 stack and not all of them. So there's like quite a buffer when it comes to playing Howard the Duck. So, you know, if you got a 5-star Howard, it might be a little bit of a blessing there. And as we mentioned at the start of the video, another really, really good option is the Vision, either the classic version or Age of Ultron. Either one will do. But both of these characters are absolutely great for their levels of power control. If you feel comfortable intercepting, you're going to have a much better time and be substantially more effective. Kind of the same thing goes in Magic. But yeah, power control champions can just absolutely dominate and get a ton of work done. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully this video was useful. If it was, smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Share it with your alliance. That would also be a massive, massive help as well. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed this video, learned a thing or two, saw some cool gameplay. Take care and have an absolutely fantastic day.